welcome to episode 34 of the Fifth Maple Board Game Podcast. If you're new with us, we are a group of diverse friends who offer our takes on the latest and today the worst board games to hit our table. I'm your host, Daniela, the goofy noob, and I am joined today by the collector.
Hey, this is David.
The intellectual introvert.
Hi, everyone. This is Chris.
And the deluxeifier.
Hello, it's Pete.
Today, we are diving into the dark depths of dice rolls and poorly designed mechanics as we count down the bottom 3 games we played in 2024. That's right, you heard our board game crushes and you even heard our top 20 lists, but today we're here to serve you our bottom 3, our musketeers, our hat tricks, our blind mice. These 3 games make us feel like the soggy cardboard that they were made out of, which ultimately disintegrated through our minds to never return. We're talking games so bad they made us question our entire existence and maybe our decision to even get into board games in the first place. If you're looking for an hour of laughs, face palms, and why did we even agree to play this moments, stay tuned. But before we dive into the dredges of our nightmares, David, what's our topic of discussion for today?
Yeah, so we're just going to get this started with a little appetizer. And this doesn't have to be necessarily a bad game, but what is a game that you had great anticipation to play? Maybe you bought it. Maybe you were like, hey, I really want to get this game to the table. But for whatever reason, it fell short and way short of expectations. What is that game that just didn't live up to the hype for you?
Yeah, for me, it was Wonderland's War, and it's all y'all's fault because I joined this group, and all I heard for like the first several weeks was how this game is so amazing. Man, I can't wait to play this. It's all we're ever gonna do. I'll die if I ever play it. It's gonna be so good, and I almost did because I and maybe part of it was because you guys built it up so much, but it just seemed like there's a lot of complexity there for what was a relatively simple game otherwise, and then the area control piece was so unrewarding to me that I'm like, what group am I part of, and how can I find a way out if this is what they think is fun? And because of how amazing you made it sound, and I was hoping we'd just never play that again.
You know, you used to not like Terraforming Mars, and then we kind of played it again. I think we're going to change your mind, maybe.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I don't know. We got to get that game back to the table.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just before your time.
Oh, man.
Maybe it was, or maybe it was just a really disappointing game for me.
I'm going to take a little different spin on this, David. I'm going to talk about a game that I loved the first time I played, Shogun. The second time I played, I don't know what was going on. I don't know if I got hit in the head. I don't know if my hormones were raging. Could not tell you what. I hated it the second time I played it. And I'm really I'm bummed that I felt that way. I know at some point I'm going to have to rip the Band-Aid off and try and play it again. But for me, I was hecka confused after playing it the second time. I don't know what happened, but I was left feeling I want this game to end immediately.
You went from can't wait to play this to
I
never want to play this again.
It was a crush. It was one of my crushes. And then I went to immediate red flag. Get him out of here.
Second date blues.
Mine was a Kickstarter. I was so excited for this game. I was watching it before.
Wait, can I guess?
Yes.
Boo-roo?
You are correct, yes. I was actually the second backer on that game, and I would have been the first if I wouldn't have gone back and make sure I got everything for the game. So I went back, I got everything in the game. I was so excited for this. I was planning on doing print and play. It had the play that I was looking for, similar to when we play Lockup, where you have hidden meeples that you're putting down with different values. And we played it, and the just air went out of the tires. I don't know what it was. We tried to play it a couple times. We tried to play it with the expansion, and it just fell short. I'm not sure why. I ended up selling the game because I didn't even want to watch. I didn't want to see it on my shelf anymore.
I can't even look at you anymore.
So bad memories. Just looking at it every time, just thinking, oh, that one hurt. So I got it out of sight, hopefully out of mind, but thanks for bringing it up again, Danielle.
I missed the game night you brought that out, and I feel really good about that right now, about missing it.
Yeah, I do remember that game night. It's saying that to me. You know, my game is going to be a game that me and Chris saw actually at Origins. I was super excited to see this game. We would walk by, somebody put up a sign that says they needed players. I was like, Chris, we are sitting down on this game. I think we missed a couple opportunities earlier, and that game is Arcs. And I know a lot of you might like this game, but for whatever reason, the first time we played it, it just fell way short. I'm actually glad I didn't back this game. This is like a sci-fi kind of setting game with area majority, but the key to it, which I heard in like a lot of the previews, was, oh, they have trick taking. I don't know. I'm a big trick-taking fan, and I would not call that trick-taking.
Yeah, that was a stretch.
That was a stretch. And not only that, but then there was also player elimination that could possibly happen in this game, to the point where I should have been eliminated, but I think people at the table felt bad for me. So for some reason, I stayed in the game, and then you end up winning the game because just how the game worked was really random and weird. And so, it was like one of those hollow victories where you're like, I only won because people didn't wipe me out in the first hour of the game. But we played another 3 hours later, and I came back and somehow won. So it was just unsatisfying 4-hour play experience, I think. And so I am glad I don't own it. Maybe I'd give it a second chance. I know a lot of people still like it, but if you're looking for trick-taking as a mechanic, I would not say Arcs does it well.
Is that spelled ARCS?
Yes.
Okay, Arcs.
Yeah, two negatives and 2 pluses from that play we had. We did this at Origins, right? One of the negatives, it was just too long. That game, it took at least 3. It might have been 4.
Yeah, I think it was almost 4 hours.
4
yeah.
hours?
It was a long game.
It was a long game.
But then the second piece would be, I think part of what soured that definitely for me was that one of the 4 people playing with us was just a jerk. And there's a lot of take that in here. And he was just a jerk. Every time he was doing, it was like, why would I ever want to play with that dude again? The 2 positives, and one of them maybe there's 3. One, it ended eventually. but I thought the battle mechanics with the dice, there were some clever things going on with those dice in the battles that I hadn't seen somewhere else. So there was some cleverness there. I mean, the guy's a great designer. He knows what he's doing there. Then I guess the other piece was, well, you did actually win it, and you took out the dude that was being a jerk the whole time in doing so. When he thought he was going to have it, and it was
How
just
did you
over.
play with
That's
a
because
jerk guy for
Chris
that long?
opened up the way for me.
I did. On
He
purpose.
unblocked
On purpose.
the way so I could just zoom my ships in and annihilate this guy. So it was kind of fun.
Yes, I felt really good about that too.
I honestly, I can't believe you sat there, Chris, for 4 hours with somebody you didn't like. So that's impressive.
Well, I mean, was that the last day of Origins 2? And so we're trying to get the most we can out of that. And
I
it's
can't
like,
remember.
I don't know. And it almost ended, and then it's like we missed it by 1 point.
Yeah, we
to hit
missed by
that
1
trigger.
point. So the
and we had
next
to do a
round
whole other round.
took like 45 minutes.
Yeah.
You need to
That's
ask them for
crazy.
a refund or a free day
man.
for next
I'm a
year.
nice guy. I wouldn't get up and leave the table, but
yeah.
I mean, I thought a lot of bad things.
And those ships, those deluxe ship kept falling
Did you
over.
text David?
Oh my goodness.
What is
we
this
didn't.
guy doing?
I mean, we were communicating.
okay.
I mean,
Yeah.
it was obvious.
The eyes.
Yeah. It's one of
And
those-
again, when I opened that way up for him, I'm lucky I was.
I'm like, I'm coming, Chris.
That's so
take
funny.
this
I think
guy
there was
out.
some. I can't remember. I have never revisited that game again. But I think you couldn't go by me or something. But
Yeah.
once I got out of your way, then you could reach him. And
Yeah, like that inner
I knew what I
circle,
was
you
doing
can
when I
block
did
it
that, and you
off.
did too.
Yeah.
Were they testing the game or was it already in production?
That was a production
Okay.
copy.
And he had the blinged out copy too with the special ships that wouldn't stand
Yeah,
up.
that was
Right.
annoying
It was
as
a pain.
crap.
Because
oh my gosh.
if they're laid down, it means something.
Yeah,
if they're
it
not
means-
standing up, they've taken damage. And
Yeah.
you
The
couldn't get them
table,
to stand up.
dead.
Yeah, that was
if they're
that was
standing up
frustrating.
straight, it's like there were 2 points, but if they're on the side, then they're worth 1. But they were always falling
Always
around the
falling
side.
over.
So you're
Yeah.
like, this is great.
That's a good choice.
So you guys didn't flip the table and put them on the floor, then there's no score for that.
All right, thanks, David. So those are our opinions on games that kind of just fell short, but we love to know what all your guys' opinions are out there. If you guys want to let us know by sending us an email at thefifthmeeple@gmail.com or follow us on social media or on our BGG Guild or checking out our website at thefifthmeeple.com. And before you forget, why not hit the subscribe button so you never miss a show? And just remember, no sending hate mail on this episode. We are all having fun and we're just doing everything in jest. So all love there. Also, this podcast isn't for your eyes only. So if you want to help us grow, one of the best ways to leave us a review is on Apple Podcasts. And if you do, we might just read it on a future episode. All right, let the misery begin and bring out your dead. First, let's see what each Meep had to say about how they chose their bottom 3 games. So for myself, I'll just start this as we go. For myself, it was based off of games that thematically, like I really wanted to enjoy, that just did not translate. And frankly, like I'm sitting at the table, I'm probably 10 minutes in, I'm wishing for the game to be over, be ended, and it's just not landing. It's like I would literally rather have Chinese water torture. That would be better. And again, these are games that I never want to see them on the table. Like if I'm coming over to a game night and it's there, I'm like immediately sick, headache. Chris,
That's what happened. That's what happened a week ago. Now I understand.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me, I have BG stats where I keep track of every game I play. So I just set it to 2024 and I said, show me all the games I've played. And I started at the bottom because that would be the games I only played once. And I just started scrolling up. And whenever I said, ugh, when I saw a
More
game,
flashbacks.
yeah, I was like, okay, that's going on the list. And then I went through that list. I did put them into Pub Meeple and just try to say, okay, which one do I most not want to play? I wasn't happy with a couple things that came out because I'd look at it and say, no, there's no way that is not on my top 3. It was just how many times did I just go, and how much dread
Yeah.
did I get filled with when I looked and said, oh my gosh, if I ever see that on the table again, I'm out.
Pete, how about you? How'd you come up with your list?
I did a similar. I checked my BGG stats. I actually rate all my games when I play. So I do an initial rating when I do it, and I use what BGG has as the rating. So games that I really like. For example, these ones fall in the category of take it or leave it and below. So I'm just going to go with that. These are games that we played this year, and these are games that we also talked about in prior episodes. So
Okay.
if you want to go back and listen to some more detailed, but this one's going to be good.
Gotcha. David, how about you?
Yeah, for me, it was just really easy. It was if I see this game on the table, I am running the other way. I'm not talking to those people. In fact, I'm noting who's playing that game and enjoying it. I'm like, I'm never playing a game with you.
You're dead to me.
That's how I rated these games.
Okay. All right. Well, so all the guys actually gave me their lists in advance, and I was going to go through and do some of the games that are samesies for everybody. So the guys do not know how this kind of panned out, so I'm going to kind of go through these, and some of the ones that were the same, we're going to start with those games and let them rage together. All right, so some of the guys had these in the same, in different orders, I should say. Some of them rated them 1 through 3, and vice versa. But game number 1, that was a samey. Chris and David, you both had Kill Dr. Lucky.
Yeah, sometimes you try something and afterwards maybe you tell yourself, if I ever have to do that again, I think I'll just kill myself, right? And I mean, that's pretty extreme. I would never do that, but I might consider taking the name of this game at face value and maybe killing Dr. Lucky. It was my number 2 bottom gameplay of 2024. It's a 3 to 8 player hand management game. It's kind of like the reverse of Clue, except it's not. Instead of trying to figure out who killed the host, you're trying to be the one who does kill the host. You go to Dr. Lucky's mansion, you seek him out, and you try to kill him. Good, wholesome fun, right? Find who invited you over and kill him. The game board is a plan view of a mansion, similar to what you might see in Clue. And Dr. Lucky moves around the room, and you're trying to set yourself up to take a shot at Dr. Lucky with whatever weapon you might happen to have. Sounds okay, but it's really not. You have these cards that represent potential weapons as well as maybe other ways to keep other people from being successful. And some of the cards, I will say, the one thing, some of the cards, if you read why you might have missed it, it's kind of funny as far as, you go to do over here and you see a toy and you get distracted or something like that. So if you're in a good mood, they can be funny. But in the end, I'm sitting there waiting forever for my turn. And if I don't get skipped, which happened way too often, you wait forever and then you get skipped and you wait longer, which is really frustrating. But my turn was often move, accomplish nothing, wait again. Right. And that's the way this game felt. Like, wow, that's fun. Right. And what am I doing here? So there's an interesting push your luck, take that combo where you don't help thwart an attempt to force others to do so. That's not really my kind of game either. Number 2 bottom gameplay of the year for me.
Yeah. So like the mechanic Chris was saying, so basically if you're in the same room with Dr. Lucky and nobody else in the board can see you, which is hard to come by when you play with 8 players, the fact is that when you're trying to kill him, you have these power cards. And so like if you have a power 5, it goes around the table and people have to play like lucky cards to save him. Or else if we can't get saved, it comes all the way back to you, then you win the game. The problem is I think halfway through the game, I'm like, guys, stop playing the card. Just let this guy win. Yep. Because I just want to shoot myself because I can't do this anymore. I had, slow. I think it's outdated. It's not fun. Takes way too long. It's almost pure luck. The worst, though, is sitting around waiting for your turn, like Chris said. I mean, there'll be turns where you're like, oh, it's my turn next, and then somebody will do something ridiculous, and you're to the almost back of the line again, and you didn't even get to go. Like, this is one of the games where you could sit there for like 40 minutes and maybe take one turn.
No.
And it's terrible.
Yeah.
But I had fun because I wanted to get other people's opinions to back up my own opinion. So I went on BGG, and I'm just going to read a couple because I think they're great. So Danger666 said this. He rated it a 1. He said, one of my nominees for worst game ever. Any game where you can spend an hour watching everyone else play repeated turns while you just sit there simply sucks.
Exactly.
Oh, my goodness. I agree with you. This one said, Jarisky3 said, the only source of fun we had in my only play of this game was laughing about how bad this game is. And finally, Yogbladd gave it a 1. He said, never-ending snooze fest. Simply one of my worst game evenings ever was spent playing this. Rare are games that have me wishing that anybody would win and end my walking nightmare. And I agree with every one of those comments. So
if you like Dr. Lucky.
Exactly. Yeah.
This one
Let us know why.
This one was on my short list. I didn't send that over, but it was a contender for all the reasons that you said. That's an hour of my life I'm never getting back.
Where did you guys play this at?
It was a game night.
Oh, it
church
was
church
okay.
game night,
All
yeah.
right, I was not there.
I mean,
You
the
were
box
lucky.
actually looks
Lucked out.
semi okay. Like, you look at the box, you're like, okay, kind of old school.
Who owned it?
Some guy.
Okay,
that-
all right.
Yeah,
We're
I
never
won't mention
inviting
names.
back. Yeah.
Just move the location.
He won't be back.
All right. Well, let's go on to the next one that we had a samesies on. And here comes David and myself with the ever loving, you guys all know it. Because we got the opposite side of the table here with viticulture. All right. So Chris and Pete are going to throw grapes at us here. But, you know,
Boo.
I actually wasn't here to talk about this game with the group. I was not feeling well that evening, but this is one of the games. And the other one that you guys talked about on that night, too, was on my short list as well. This game does not translate for me. And when I was listening to the episode, I agreed a lot with what David had said. I don't know if it's that, like, listen, I used to work at a winery. I used to have people come in there and be like, yeah, essence of blackberry. And you'd be like, yeah, that's peach. Okay. And like, it was just like so bizarre. And I don't understand how, like, the grapes. I understand the farming mechanism here, right? Like, you're farming, you're growing. I don't give a crap. I just want to, like, have the wine or whatever afterwards. I really don't care about the theme. I don't like the theme. I never even made wine, kind of to David's point when he was talking about this game. It took me forever just to like get the grapes and then move them along the track. And then, okay, now I got 5, but that card I need 7 of these. And it's just like absolutely frustrating. And the top part of the board game, I liked going through. I liked trying to get to the different seasons, and I liked trying to get stars in during the map where Europe is. I like trying to get the stars on that map and trying to control some areas and get points and stuff. But dude, at one point, I just fell so far behind, I was not catching up, because you got 2 little winemakers over here who are, they're just blowing through. They're making bubbly. And I'm like, how did you get the grapes to make that? And it's just like the engine, like getting that going for me I didn't have fun.
Yeah, I second that wholeheartedly. I don't even think the few times I played this, I've ever made wine. I'm like of the no wine strategy, which is a viable strategy I read on BGG, where people don't make any wine and they think they can win this game. So I'm in agreement with that, but I don't know why you'd want to play this game about winemaking, not make any wine, and want to still play this game. It is a worker placement game. That part, like Danielle said, isn't necessarily the worst worker placement game I ever played, but it's the cards. It's like the random luck of actually getting to draw a card, and then you look at it and it can't help you at all, and there's no mitigation for that. You can't do anything with that card other than keep it in your hand and suffer, until you spend all your points to try to do that again. And it just seems like that mechanism, I just can't take. And so to kind of back me up, because I love going on BGG, and because I was kind of outvoted last time, but I'll give you some people out there that have said the same things as me. So let's just kind of go with it. Sci-Fi 66 gave it a 1. He said worker placement with a massive amount of randomness in the card draws. Not tense, wasn't worried about blocking. Visuals and components, though, are nice, which I agree with that. Magalk 1 said garbage game. Completely with a ton of better alternatives, all of which would be better, terribly imbalanced cards, and it's idiotic how viable the make no wine preserve strategy is. Would spit in the face of anyone who suggested playing it. Wish I could rate it a 0. So he has actually a little bit more anger than I do about this game. And then Persuado Scorpions gave it a 1. He said, literally broken. Worker placement games don't work when there's an extremely high chance that you'll brick when you have the one of many total random actions a space may allow you to take. Have a red wine order? You have a 50% chance of drawing white wine grapes. Can you mitigate this? Not at all. Fixable with a smattering of house rules, added a marker for every deck, so forth and so on. But I shouldn't have to fix Jamie's mess myself. And so for those of you who don't know Jamie, it's Jamie Stigmeyer, who's the designer of the game. So I kind of agree with all of this. It was a game that just did not resonate, did not hit. And I don't drink wine, so maybe I shouldn't even have pulled this game out. So anyways, rant over.
And you guys don't get to comment on that because we know you love it.
Well,
Come on, Chris.
Pete loves this game. It's like one of his favorite games. I enjoyed it. Pete certainly played it more than I have. I do think there might be some ways to mitigate what you're talking about. There are certain potentially buildings you can grow that allow you to get more opportunities. And there's also some variants we talked about in our last episode that, okay, well, maybe you could create a variant where you draw 2 cards and you choose one. At least you see twice as many cards. Yeah. And I think, to me, house rules are fine, if especially if they help you find the fun in a game. That I think if you got past that, I still think it's a really good game where the theme comes through. I'm not a wine drinker either, but I don't know. I enjoyed this game.
I agree with the comments about the cards. That's probably the biggest downside of the game. So I get it.
All right.
Thanks, Pete.
He gets it. Chris doesn't.
No,
There's no love on it.
a bottom
no
three
love
play.
coming around.
I understand, but not a bottom three play for me. But.
Okay. Well, here is our last of the samesies before we start to get onto our individual ones. So this is for Pete and I, and with a smattering of Chris. Okay, this is on Chris's dishonorable mention, and we have to go here. And I know David's going to be on this one as well. But Fury of Dracula.
Oh my God.
Second edition.
Wait, we're all having flashbacks right now. I was literally on my phone playing, and then Chris is texting me like we're just all like doing nothing. It was another game that we played that was just too much looking at the rule book. I mean, David was Dracula, and he was a really good sport about it, but he had to look in the rule book for every single tile that we had, or that you had actually, that you were playing the game with. And I wanted to like this game because I like the theme. I really like Dracula. I was Van Helsing. I thought it was really awesome. But I just got so violently angry playing it. I turned into Jekyll and Hyde, and I just wanted it to be over. So, again, I wish I would have just got bitten by Dracula. And
You were
died.
stabbing
It
yourself
was
in
just,
a-
yeah,
in
I
a-
was. I was like, wooden spike. Oh, that sucks. Dead. No, but yeah, Pete, what do you got here?
Oh, move. Are you here? No. Move one space. Are you here? No.
Shoot.
I'm going to move two
You must be in
spaces
Belgrade.
and take a card. That's my turn.
or it's like, move. Are you here? Yes. Okay. Slap. Right. No. And again, then you finally get there. You can't use any of your weapons, and then off he goes.
Yeah.
And,
I
really
catch him. I
frustrating.
find him. I'm there. Yeah, you're here. I
Sneak attack.
Punch.
then you play the cards. I'm just playing cards. Tell me what it did. I win? Well, take this one compared to this side, and this side compared to this side, and who won? No, come up with a better combat system with that. That was
Yeah. As soon as Chris, what you just said was hilarious too. Punch. Yeah, like that's supposed to defend against like whatever Dracula's doing. I mean, it was
Yeah, the
just
600-year-old
so goofy.
undead.
yeah. The
Smack him
undead.
across the face. You dead yet? No.
Use glove. Color duel.
Oh, you know what? You get there. Oh, there's some minions here. You got to fight first. I can't even fight at all.
Yeah.
Then we got Dave on the outside, surfing on the just so he can't escape. It's crazy. I get it. It could be a great co-op. I do want, in all fairness, I do want to play the newer version once. I think
You play that new version once, and
Yeah,
then you
you
tell
come
me
back.
Yeah.
if I should play it. Because
I'll be playing by myself, I think. No, I think the newer version fixes some of those shortcomings that we're talking about. Yeah, this is one I don't want to really see again. I'm never going to play this version 2. Burn them all.
David, have you
Put a
sold it?
stake in it.
No, I gotta sell this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
You might get $20 for it. I don't know.
All right, so those are the last of the sames. I think we might have a couple more little crossovers, and Chris was very adamant about giving me his dishonorable mentions too. So we might have some more comments here, and certainly we'll pepper that in. So, all right, so I've already talked about 2 of the games on my bottom list here, and I'm just gonna round it out. Again, these are in no particular order for me, but my last game that I'm going to talk about here is Vindication. Okay, so we played Vindication at Pete's house, and it's funny because I went back and I looked up the theme of the game, and I said, absolutely not. The theme did not come through when we were playing this game. The game, honestly, on the table is beautiful. It is really well done. It looks nice, but I remember going, man, I'm going to have like a hard time learning this. Like I was like really nervous as we started playing, but it's really move on the square, flip it, and see what like kind of power you have. Get some cubes, move the cubes, get more cubes to get that cube. It was like I felt like I was just like shuffling things around, and then every once in a while, like you could battle a beast, which was an okay part of the game. But at one point, Chris draws this card, and it was like, do these actions to end the game. And I look at him, and I'm like, if you don't freaking win, like, get this game done and over with. Like, I don't know why I really just, I did not like this game at all. It did not click. It was, I think it was like overproduced or overdeveloped or something. And I thought it was mediocre at best. And so I don't know if you guys have any thoughts on that, but I know Pete's like staring at me.
No, I'm going to say it was a teacher on that one. That was one of the ones you guys came over and played. I think we had 5 players on it, and that board is pretty tight with 5 players.
Okay.
I'm not sure that we all invested the time. I hadn't played it in a while. This is one of my son's favorite games. We play it a lot, and he always crushes me. So I really can't say how to win the game. I can't say that about any of the games I usually play.
Well, and it's funny you say that, though, because at the end of the day, I still don't know how to like win the game because it's a point thing. You do this, you get a point. You do that, you get points. You do this, you get points. So it's points. Like it's
a Euro game at its heart, and it doesn't look like one. And I think that's what throws people. As you said, you're changing this cube for that cube and that cube for that, and it's really trying to get that, figure out that engine. And there's some neat things with, I like the exploration on it, and you're flipping the tiles over, you don't know what it is. Eventually, you know what they all are, but yeah, I get it. That one I would suggest maybe playing it with 2 or 3 people.
Lower count.
It might be a lot better. We talk about games that we play with the fifth people, 5 players. Don't do it.
Well, just like the Tootsie Roll Pop Peep, the world may never know because I'm not sure I'm bringing that back again.
Well, this was this was on my dishonorable mention list as well, right? Because I looked at it, I was like, ugh, and so it went on my list.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
But also, this was a candidate for our topic of the day here, where it was like, hey, what game was like this build up? And they're like, what the heck? And that was one too, because I felt like you really built up. You guys are gonna love Vindication. You're gonna love this. And halfway through the game, Danny, I was like, what can I sneak you so that you can win the game? Right? We're just hey, Pete's not looking. Cubes. Pete's not looking. Slide your thing up there and. Yeah, it was disappointing.
Yeah.
Yeah. It might be all on me. You guys can blame me.
I think it is.
No. Play the game again.
Well, the artwork's really cool. That's what drew me in. But everything else, it could have been up there with Arcs.
All right, let's go to Chris. Your number 3 on your list was Psychobabble.
Yeah, there are some things in life you experience and you say something like, I never want to do that again. It would drive me insane. And the first game, when I put my 3 together on my bottom 3, was a game about being insane and trying to hide it. And I actually kind of wish I was insane when I played it because then I maybe wouldn't remember happening. This is Psychobabble, number 3 bottom gameplay. It's a thankfully short social deduction game, 4 to 11 players, and I'm not making that up. Maximum player count is 11, which just seems kind of weird to me to begin with. One player takes on the role of a psychotherapist, and the rest are his or her patients that have been suffering from mass hysteria and shared dreams. And it just dawned on David what game I'm talking about.
I had to look it up. I know what you're talking about. And I look at the cover, I'm like, oh, I remember this one.
You have these large cards with surreal images. Those are supposed to represent your dreams. The patients know which card to discuss, and the psychotherapist doesn't. One of the patients in the game is genuinely insane and has been given the wrong card to talk about. Only that person knows that they're insane. And there's this question and answer period where the psychotherapist tries to suss out who's insane, who's not, and you're trying to trick everybody else. This is self-described as a game of real suspense and paranoia. I don't know about the pair part, but it will annoy you, okay? Or at least it did me. I did not enjoy this game, but it was over relatively quickly, so it at least has that going for it. That was Psychobabble. It was my number 3 bottom play of 2024. David, you played this with me at Origins. You remember what I'm talking about now. What were your thoughts? I was the insane guy.
I was trying to forget that we played that game. In fact, that was bad. I didn't even realize what you were talking about. I was like, Psychobabble. I'm like, what is this game? And then I looked at it, I'm like,
Because it drove you insane.
I have a black spot in my memory lapse. I don't even, doesn't even recall
there.
anymore.
The guy running it was from the company. He was having a good old time. But I was just, and to be fair, this is not the kind of game that is really in my wheelhouse at all. It's a lot of interaction with people. It's also deception. I'm not big on deception. And then again, I thought, hey, I got the one role. I am the insane guy, right? And it still wasn't fun for me. And I was like, what am I doing? And again, last day of Origins, we played this. Oh, yeah. One of the last things that we did, and it's probably 15 minutes I'll never get back, like Pete said earlier.
Well, I'm glad you guys didn't play that the day I came up to Origins. So thank you.
Yeah. All right. Actually, let's move on to your number 3, which is Foundations of Rome.
Yeah, I'm going to need to put my toga on for some of mine. Foundation of Rome. It sucked me in with the production. I was a sucker for it. I was waiting for a really fun game, and it was as simple as it could be. It was a bait and switch on me. I don't know what else to say about it. It's not a bad game. No. It didn't do anything for me. And, it's fun building my buildings, and I'd rather play with Legos.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's
yeah,
beautiful. But that's also very simple. And you limited yourself to the games that we covered, right?
yes.
In here. So this to me was not one of my worst plays, but it was one. This probably was a candidate for one of the biggest disappointments too, because again, it's just so beautiful. You see, I was like, this is going to be amazing. Yeah. And then you're playing it like, I think at the time we were first talking about this, man, this is a game, and it's like $150, $200, maybe $300. Like this thing should be. My clothes should be falling off as I'm playing this game. And it's like, I don't have my socks off yet. It's just that this is not the game I thought I was getting into. Beautiful, really awesome pieces, really simplistic game.
Yeah. When I looked at my ratings, this was a take it or leave it. It baited and switched me. I was expecting a lot bit more. I think the only thing that made it even better was David had the coins. We had some extra coins on it, so I at least felt a little bit better playing the game.
Felt good in your hand.
There was some randomness in there. We tried to up it by playing some of the powers, and of course, they felt to me out of balance. Dave had something that just let him get lots of points, and I got 3 points.
Oh, that's like Chris build next to you and is going, oh yeah, I'm going to use all your people to get money. Oh my gosh, I was like, I needed a way to use some of these buildings.
I mean, there's a game there, but the other thing that killed me is just that interim scoring. Why? I don't know. There were just some things I just didn't like about it.
All right. Well,
David, how does it feel, the fact that you spent like, I don't know, half a house on the game, and that's how Pete feels like it?
Yeah, it's fine. I like the game, so I can't say much, but I understand why people think that. So yeah, makes sense.
Yeah. That's right. He didn't like he didn't like what did he like?
Viticulture.
Viticulture.
Oh,
yeah,
goodness.
there you go.
well, we've all talked about pretty much the top two, at least. We've all gone through them. So we're going to go down to number one. And David, you didn't do yours in any certain order, correct?
No,
Okay.
I don't like them all equally.
All right. So, let's go around. We got one more game for each of the guys sitting at the table here. Let's go back to Chris real quick. His number one, Coalition, Councils of the Republic.
Okay, how to describe this one? All right, sometimes you have an experience in life, and afterwards you're just kind of in a daze. You're asking yourself, what just happened? Right? And you try to make sense of what you just went through. Nothing makes sense. And that's how I felt after playing this game, again, at Origins. This is by far my number one bottom game of 2024. If you look it up, right, it's a 6 to 12 player negotiation party game. Takes about 60 minutes to play. Now, at 6 to 12 players, we played a 15-person game. I don't even know how that works. But after you draft roles, you break into several different councils, and players negotiate with each other to forge alliances, broker deals, and potentially stab each other in the back, trying to ensure that the developing constitution enshrines their irreproachable values. Yeah, that's what they said it was. Okay. And if you go online, that's what they'll tell you. But we played a 15-person game at Origins. I spent the entire time just staring at other players who were equally baffled, just staring back at me, trying to figure out what in the hell is going on in this game. What are we even trying to accomplish? I seriously considered pulling a fire alarm, emptying out the entirety of Origins just to get out of that game. There's a lot of people at that table that would say, just do it. Just do it. Who didn't understand, why would you vote a certain way? How do you get new influence cards? It was also taught poorly. The guy was teaching it, I don't think we even understood how to play the game. Maybe he was like, yeah, I don't know how this is a game, but try it. And that's, I'm sure that's a factor, but the game just wasn't my cup of tea. There was, I think, one guy, we played a 15-player game. There was one guy that was just having a grand old time. I don't know if he was on something or what, but maybe with some refinements or for people who like this time, I'm not a negotiation kind of guy, but I just didn't see the game there at all. For me, Coalition, Councils of the Republic, my number one bottom gameplay of 2024, kickstarting in 2025. Check it out.
David, anything to add on to that
Again,
one?
I had to look this game up because I just have a blank space in my head for all these bad games that we played on Origins. But this one, I do remember now very clearly what this game is. When Chris read that description, I remember reading the description like, yeah, it sounds actually pretty fun. But the actual implementation and execution was by far, I literally didn't know what I was doing for almost the whole game. And I still don't know how the people won the game. I just was like, I need to leave.
Yep. Hurry up before they say, let's run that back.
Can you kill me? Can you do anything to eliminate my character? In that game, I wish there was player elimination because I would have left.
Well, David, let's take us to your last one that we got to talk about. So your number, not necessarily in any order for you, is Plunder.
Yes, Plunder's A Pirate's Life. It's actually rated 6.8, so there's a lot of crazy people out there. It's 2 to 6 players, 1.83 out of 5 weight. But in Pirate's Life, the goal is this to gain 10 plunder points. You gain plunder points by conquering islands, sinking enemy ships, and burying treasure. So you think it sounds fun. On your turn, you can draw 1 resource card for each island you own. You can trade resources. You can fight other people's ships. But really, this game, if you look at it on the pictures, you might look this game up and you're like, wow, that game actually looks really cool, because that's what happened to us. I was like, wow, that game looks really cool, because you see it. It has a great table presence. They got these like rubber ships that you can attach things to. But the way this game plays is absolutely horrible. Let me tell you how about combat. Combat happens when your ship is adjacent to another ship, and you both grab a d6 dice and you roll them, and the highest number wins. And the tie goes to the attacker. Why? In any other game, the tie never goes to the attacker, it goes to the defender. So that's like a little nitpick. But the worst thing is you can lose a ship in this game. And what the person, maybe is a bad teach, but they told us when you lose a ship, then you can't do anything on your turn but roll the dice for movement. And so you take the 2 dice and you have to roll doubles like you're in Monopoly jail.
Oh, is this the one that took forever for you?
And yeah, and I literally tried to roll doubles for like over an hour of this
heard of
game
this.
because I could not get my boat to come back in. There's no like, hey, you roll 3 times, you can pay your way out of jail. It was just, I constantly kept rolling dice to try to get doubles. And then when I finally got doubles, everybody else was so far ahead. There's no way I was ever coming back in this game. But I read the rules while I was researching this, and there is another way you can get a ship back, which she didn't tell us at the teach, is that you can lose 1 plunder point and you can get your ship back in the game. I wish I would have known that. But I'm just going to tell you really quick, this game took about 2 hours. It's way too long for what it is. And these are what some people wrote, because I just really like their comments because they really touched my heart. JD Wiley gave this a 1. He goes, 100% luck. Worst game I've ever owned. Then Lady Faha rated a 1. She said, garbage, no skill required. So easy to get locked out of being able to do anything, making it utterly pointless to remain at the table. Would rate negative stars if possible. Then my favorite, Zerbia88, gave it a 1 and says, it's been a long time since I played something so awful. Really, it truly demonstrates bad game design on almost every level. It's like the designers have never played a single modern board game ever. Almost every mechanic in this game, and I mean 90% plus, is just random chaotic garbage. Roll a die to move, roll a die to attack and defend, draw from a deck of random resources, spin 2 arrows on circles for random placements of things, etc. It's legitimately worse than Monopoly. I was just hyper irritated my whole playthrough. It's an activity, not a game. Literally 0 choices. Skip, and all exclamation marks. And I 100% agree with that. It is by far one of the worst experiences I've ever had.
Skip to my Lou.
Oh my goodness.
How long do you think you were rolling for? 'Cause
I've done it.
I've heard
It was
of
just
this.
so dumb. I mean, every
It's a
time it
lot
came
of
to me,
turns.
I literally
A lot
rolled the
of
dice and it was like, nope, no doubles. Next person, I sit there.
And then,
For another 10
then
minutes.
David just looks at me with this broken look. Just roll the dice, and I was like, nothing I can do about it.
Don't drink wine, but you might start after playing that. Good grief.
Yeah, it was not a lot of fun. I was at that same table with David. But what's, we said before that, hey, these might be good games for other people, just they didn't click for us. There were 2 people in that game who were having a great time at that game, and there were 2 of us who were not. Right? So different games speak to different people.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm not. I almost bought that for you as a gift, but it was too dang expensive. And I'm like, I am not spending that much money just for a laugh.
Yeah, just for him to resell
Yeah,
it.
Oh my goodness.
Exactly.
But he did that to you.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we are moving on to our last game. Pete, you're going to take us home because there's so much hate you have for Rome. Rome. Glory to Rome.
Glory to Rome.
Actually,
Glory to
it's not
Rome?
it's not your number 1. It's your number 2.
It was number 2.
Fury was number 1.
Yes.
But obviously. So let's talk about it.
I don't want to play it again.
Glory to Rome.
I didn't want to talk about it.
I don't even want to talk about it. I just didn't like the game. That the production was horrible. It cost $3 million. You got to take out a loan if you want to touch the cards. We got to wear gloves when we play with David's copy. I think he's got them double sleeved. It just didn't. It didn't make any sense. The cards I want are in the middle. I can't get them. Anything I wanted to do was wrong. I wanted the game to end. I was just trying to figure out how to make it end. I think there is a game there. And don't get me wrong. This is on my take it or leave it. I will play this again. I won't enjoy it, but I'll play it again. I still think there might be some other games that cost a whole lot less that might give me the same experience with it, and maybe in a more presentable way, and a cleaner interface, and a more fun value. This is we talk about it being hyped games. This one to me is just so hyped. It's a mythical beast if you can even find it, and if you got it, you want to play it. You want to play it, and you don't want to say anything bad about it, David. I'm sorry. I get it. You spent a lot of money on that one. Just not for me. Not in my wheelhouse. Bring on the hate now, people. I get it.
Well, Daniela didn't like it either.
No,
right?
the second time I played it, I had a much better hand going for me. There was a point, I think I looked at you, Chris, numerous times, and I work in a lot of construction, architecture, engineering. There were two cards, and I can't remember what the other one was. One was architect, and the other one was something. And I'm like, these two cards should be switched.
Yeah.
Like, it drove me crazy because I'm like, no, this is what this person does, and that's what that person does. But I did. I remember, like, we were like, oh, yeah, some guys at MIT came with this. I'm like, this is what they came up with, you know? It's different. I wouldn't say I hate it. I don't even think it would be in my top 5 of games I didn't like, but I didn't not like it.
I enjoyed the heck out of this game.
Yeah,
I absolutely
love
love
this game. I
this
was
game.
never wanting to play it again, for sure. I totally agree. The first game, I was like, this trash.
Yeah. The only fun thing about it, if you want to
MIT, what? I'm way smarter than these guys.
if you want to lose your friends, play this game. Chris is about ready to win, and I go in and snag his prison or whatever it was, and
Oh man.
it's just not for me. If I'm going to spend that much time, fortunately, it didn't take a long time to play, but when you bring it out again, I'm not playing.
I feel like the more you play it, maybe the more you just
Yeah.
learn, okay, the architect does something that doesn't quite make sense.
Yeah.
There are some, okay, that's somewhat non-intuitive, and your brain is racked some with just kind of keeping track of, well, what does each card do? I think the more you play that, the more maybe that would work out. I enjoyed the heck out of this game. We haven't played it enough, in my opinion. I think it was designed by a genius, and there's a lot of depth there.
Him.
There's a lot of depth there.
It's so deep.
No, I say that because I felt like the first time I played it, I was like, okay, I really didn't like this aspect, and this seems like too much luck and all that. And then you play the second time, so okay, I like the way that works, and I see how that is. And the more I played it, the more I was like, okay, this is how I can manipulate this to do that.
Yeah.
And I know once they get in the middle, I can't do anything with them. I can do other things with them, make sure I don't. And you start to learn how I can manipulate these. What's a lot of complicated things to do.
Well, I think I will say, I think that probably the genius of this game is when you have your player mat in front of you, there's a lot of different things around that mat that you can do and send things different places, like to the vault or whatever some of these things were that, again, I don't recall. But for Pete, I can see it's just the player mat. Why would I send one card to this side to that side? Like, it didn't make sense. Right, because you're flipping cards over, then you're saving them for later, and then at the end of the game, you're counting up all those cards that you sent to this random place, and you're like, "What? Like, I should have been doing that the whole time." Chris has got a whole stack over here, and it's just like it's a little bit underdeveloped, I will say. But you probably, and maybe other people like it for the simplicity of that. You can pull out a deck of cards and play this game with your little player mats, and it's great travel game. Nope, not traveling with it. If I got a carry-on bag and it's only
going out your
25
window.
pounds, it's not taking a pound away from me.
We'll play something else.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going behind you and grabbing that copy. I'm like, oh, there's $200 bucks.
Listen, if I ever see it, I am picking it up and reselling it.
Well, I remember playing this game, and there were cards. I was like, okay, that card's broken. But then you play it again. You're like, oh, that's the card that unbreaks that broken card. And then there's a lot of that card is broken, and I think that's the key. Okay, can you get that card, keep it, not have it taken off money? It's the game within a game within a game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree with Chris. I
Pete
think there's
says,
a lot of meta.
bull crap.
It's
think
not a
Pete-
bad game. It's just not a game I want to play.
I
Which
think
is
Pete
why it's in the
hasn't
doo-doo pile.
played enough bad games this year. You should come with us to Origins next year.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I'm considering not going to Origins if you guys are just going to play horrible
The
games
whole
there.
list is from Origins.
We played a lot of good games at Origins, and we played some stinkers.
Yeah. That's why it's so fun.
All right, guys, let's go around. Any final thoughts? I know Chris had a full list of dishonorable mentions. I don't know if he wants to mention them at this time, or if anybody else has another game maybe that sparked their mind that you're just like want to throw out there. Just lob a missile. What's another game you just couldn't stand and you want to run away from it?
I did have a list of dishonorable mentions. We talked about some of them. The other two, one was called Morai. It was a trick taker game. that we played like half a hand, and everybody's like, "What?
At
what
Origins?
Yeah, again at Origins." They're like, "What are we doing
David's
here?"
dying.
And nobody wanted to continue a hand. Nobody wanted to play it again. So that was one, and I couldn't tell anything about it because again, I don't understand what's going on. I don't like it. Never want to see this again. And then David was this was at Origins as well. 1880 China. 4 hours of misery, and it wasn't over.
I didn't think we're a quarter of the way in.
I know, and it was, and it got to the point where like the one guy that knows what he's doing, he's just taking all of our turns. All right, you used to do this and do that, and it's like, is the time over yet?
I remember walking in, and that's when I saw you guys. That was the day I come, and you gave me this look like you just put a bullet in my brain.
Yeah, exactly. You're like, Chris, why is that noose around your neck?
Are you guys?
I weaved
Are you
it
guys
myself,
almost done?
dude. I weaved it myself.
From my leg hairs.
No, my favorite is that guy knew the game so well. He's like, why would you do that? Like,
Yeah.
just like question. I'm like, I have no clue what I'm doing.
Right.
It's like,
I just want to do
that's
something.
idiotic. Yeah, exactly.
Gosh.
Oh man, that was a good time.
Okay, well, I got a couple on a short list. Gunky Moto, we play
Oh,
that.
I love that game. I want to play that again.
Why?
Gunkamoto. It's on the show.
Oh yeah,
It just didn't do it for me. I don't know what it was. Racing up those tracks, that just forget it. You guys wanted me to play Cascadia. It's on my short list. I really don't want to play it again.
Chris loves that
we
game.
need to take Pete to
under-
Origins.
He'll love them all. He'll love them.
Exactly.
We got find you Polaris for you.
Man,
Or Polarize. Is that what it's called? Polarize?
and we played Harmonies, I think, once more, which is like Cascadia Light. The only good thing about that is it takes less time than Cascadia. So for me, just games. I don't enjoy the tableau building. For you guys out there, I like my games with the interaction, not like Glory to Rome. So those are just games that don't fall into my wheelhouse.
I actually didn't make another list. I try to block out bad memories like
Yeah.
this, but
Makes sense.
I do have a lot of fun though. I think this is very therapeutic,
Yeah.
and I think we should do this at least twice a year.
yeah, I think I got it out. We can do that.
After Origins, we can do the bottom 10 games we played this week.
Oh, that's great. All right. Well, guys, I think our naughty list is finalized for 2024, and that brings us to yet another episode of the Fifth Meeple Board Game Podcast. We hope you enjoyed our take on our bottom 3 games and had a few laughs. And if you'd like to get in touch, just email us at thefifthmeeple@gmail.com or reach out to us on Facebook or Instagram. Thanks again for listening, and until next time, may your fires always be lit by the cardboard games you hate. Thanks for listening, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Hasta luego. Luego.
Thanks for listening.
Crinkle, crinkle. All right, here we go.
You should do those last, I think.
Also, if this podcast isn't... Oh, sorry. You held that for a while, so I was wondering if it was going to turn off.
Do what you want.
Okay.
Do what you want, but you should do this.